Jason and Mallory were quietly enjoying breakfast when two fake HOA officers stormed into their yard, demanding access they had no right to. These men had been bullying neighbors for weeks, using fear and fake authority to get their way. But Mallory had one move they never saw coming: a real SWAT badge and the power to turn the tables instantly. Just wait until you hear how this shocking standoff ended and why justice finally prevailed. The morning was calm, almost too calm. Jason and Mallory sat at their small wooden table on the back patio, sipping coffee and enjoying a rare, quiet Saturday. Birds chirped from the trees behind the fence, and the hum of a distant lawnmower was the only other sound in the neighborhood. Then it happened. The gate to their backyard slammed open so hard it banged against the fence. Jason nearly dropped his mug. Two men stepped inside like they owned the place. No knock, no announcement, just straight through the gate. Both wore dark uniforms, the kind that made you hesitate for a moment. But there were no badges, no name tags, not even a company logo. "Who are you?" Jason called out, rising halfway from his chair. One of the men stopped a few feet from him, holding a clipboard and a phone as if he were in charge. His voice was flat and commanding. "We're HOA security. We have an order to inspect your property." Jason blinked in disbelief. HOA security? He had never heard of them conducting inspections, and their community association didn't have the legal right to just walk in uninvited. But before he could ask another question, the men began scanning the yard with their eyes, like they were searching for something. Jason's stomach tightened. This wasn't just strange, it was completely wrong. The two men didn't even bother answering Jason's unspoken questions. One of them raised his phone and began snapping photos of the patio, the garden, even the windows of the house, as if he were building a case. The other paced slowly toward the porch, scanning every detail with a sharp, judgmental gaze. Jason clenched his jaw. This wasn't the first time the HOA had overstepped. Over the past year, they had fined neighbors for leaving trash cans out too long, for weeds barely visible in their lawns, even for having the wrong color curtains. But barging straight into someone's yard, that was something entirely new. They carried themselves with the same swagger and authority as law enforcement, barking silent orders with their posture. But Jason knew better. There was nothing official about them. No real authority, no rights. Just a uniform and a loud voice meant to scare people into submission. A slow burn started rising in Jason's chest. Each click of the camera felt like another violation. Another reminder that these men weren't here to inspect anything. They were here to intimidate, to make the homeowners feel small and powerless. Jason's hands curled into fists at his sides. He wasn't just annoyed now, he was furious. Jason was about to step forward when the back door creaked open behind him. Mallory stepped out, calm and collected, her presence commanding the space without a single word. She didn't raise her voice, didn't even rush. Instead, she reached into her bag and pulled out a small black case. With a practiced motion, she flipped it open and held the contents inches from the lead man's face. The polished badge caught the sunlight, making him blink. "Federal SWAT," she said evenly, her tone like ice. "And you just trespassed on private property." The man's confident expression evaporated. He glanced at his partner, then back at the badge as if hoping it wasn't real. "You have 3 seconds to explain who you are and why you're here," Mallory continued, her words sharp and deliberate. She held up her phone, thumb hovering over the dial button. Or I call a patrol car and you can explain it to them instead. The backyard fell silent except for the faint hum of traffic in the distance. Jason could see the color drain from the men's faces. They stepped back instinctively, their earlier bravado gone in an instant. Mallory's thumb tapped the screen, beginning to dial. The men froze. The moment Mallory pressed the call button, the two imposters knew it was over. They muttered something about misunderstanding and began inching toward the gate. But Mallory's sharp stare rooted them in place. Within minutes, the wail of sirens broke the silence of the quiet street. Two patrol cars pulled up in front of the house, their lights flashing bright red and blue through the fence slats. Real officers rushed into the yard, weapons holstered, but authority unmistakable. The fake HOA security men didn't resist. They barely spoke as the officers cuffed them, reading their rights before leading them out to the waiting cars. One officer turned to Jason and Mallory and explained that the two men had been targeting homeowners across the neighborhood for weeks, using fear to force residents into paying fake fines. Jason exhaled, finally letting the tension leave his shoulders. He turned to Mallory and pulled her into a tight hug. "I've never been so grateful you're SWAT," he whispered against her hair. Mallory leaned back just enough to smirk. "Let them try this again," she said, voice low but firm. Jason watched as the patrol cars disappeared down the street, carrying the imposters away. For the first time all morning, the air felt light again. Justice this time was real.